The Mixed Mornings and More podcast with Steph and Sean.
Now available daily.
Good morning, world. It is a Friday, July 14th, 2023. I'm by myself again today. Sean is off to Edmonton. I was scrolling the other day and came across a job posting that was extremely clear. They are not looking for me. Here's their pitch. If you don't know how to use a printer, think that the internet is just everywhere, and can't understand how or why it doesn't work sometimes. Stupid thing. And wouldn't think of actually creating a Facebook account because that's for old people. We want you. Definitely not qualified for this one. Did ChatGPT write this? What the heck do they want you to be able to do if it's not work obsolete equipment? And I'll have you know that the fact that I remember the time when the internet was in the phone and went is a very useful skill. For making jokes about how old I am, at least. I'd like to make a case for a treasure hunt. As an adult, why should the kids have all the fun? I celebrated 9 years married to my wonderful husband the other day, and when I got home from work, there was a clue on the table and my e-bike was charging. The clue started at the beginning of the Birchwood Trails, and it took us all through them, and it was so fun. And also 29 degrees, so we had the trails completely to ourselves, and there was no fear of anyone accidentally stumbling upon and tampering with our game. And I just want to say, I think it was fun for my hubs, despite the fact that he probably had to walk the entire trail system by himself to put the clues out in that 29-degree heat. But man, I had a blast. So my best relationship advice from someone who's been married for 9 whole years... Find yourself someone who will make you a treasure hunt. The Fort McMurray International Airport is removing the Snowbird, the plane that's facing straight up, from the roundabout on the way into the terminal. They say it's been deteriorating for some time because of the climate up here, but they're looking for a replacement. And they want something that represents the region and is in line with the airport's values. Now, do we go with the obvious, a buffalo for wood buffalo, or northern lights for the absolute gift that the sky gives us way more often than the rest of Canada? Or are we looking for something a little more surprising about the region? Things that you wouldn't know except for living here, like a giant raven. It could represent the airport with the fact that it flies too, that it communicates well, and the region, because they're everywhere and huge. Or what about some sort of display that represents the generosity that lives here? I arrived a few months after the fire, and the stories that people told me had me crying almost every day on the radio. And just say you need help, people line up, thinking about after the flood when you couldn't get a volunteer shift because they were all full. Or during the Fort Chip's recent evacuation. I loved how the community came together, and anytime someone posted a need, it was met by multiple people. How do you display that in a roundabout, though? And what do you think we should put there? I was in a conversation with someone who was visiting here the other day, and we were chatting about the bugs, and they were saying, I can't believe it. There's no bugs here. Where I came from, there was bugs everywhere. I have to wear bug spray every day. And I was like, you're right. This is a strangely good year for bugs. And now I feel like I need to knock on wood and maybe not say out loud that I haven't even seen a tar sand beetle yet this year. But I do feel like as soon as I finished that conversation, the smoke rolled in, and I went and ate dinner on a patio the other night, and I was swatting mosquitoes like crazy. I've got so many bug bites. It is nuts. And it got me thinking about the time that I got in a car accident because of a tar sand beetle. Now, I was not the one driving. I may have added to the chaos, though, because I walked past a tree on my way to get into my friend's car, and I thought there was a stick in my ponytail. So while I was sitting in the passenger seat and she was backing out of the parking spot, I pulled the stick out only to be holding a tar sand beetle in my hand. And she screamed, I threw it on the floor. For some reason, she thought I threw it on her. And so she just got out of the moving vehicle as it was backing up. There was nobody in the driver's seat anymore. And the door, it just kind of attached to the truck next to us, and it started to fold in on itself, and the car continued to reverse, and she was jumping up and down like, do something. And I was like, you left me in this car and I'm going to wreck your transmission, but it's in park now. And she explained to me afterwards that the reason why she freaked out is because she thought I threw a tar sand beetle on her while she was driving. And I was like, I think I have a little bit more sense in chaos not to do that, don't I? Have I given you a reason to believe I would do that to you? Either way, we're both fine. The car was covered by insurance somehow. And the tar sand beetle, I think it actually flew away. I don't think we managed to make it one less in the world. But I would love to hear your worst bug bite story. Let me know, 780-791-1037. We're talking about the worst bug bites you've ever gotten in. And I actually had a Canadian friend when we lived in Australia together who was bit while she was sleeping by a spider. Obviously, she wasn't a threat to the spider. She was sleeping. She was very, very still. But it bit her on the forehead, and the bite immediately started to turn into necrosis. Like her skin started to deteriorate and kind of like flesh-eating disease go away. And so now she has bangs for the rest of her life. That is just her fashion statement. No matter if they're in style or not, she will always have bangs because that stupid spider left a big scar on her forehead. Crazy. What's the worst bug bite you've ever gotten? 780-791-1037.
Want more of today's show?
Download the Mixed Mornings and More podcast.
Now available every weekday.